boy.
So the thing I realised from doing these gigs was like you need to be ready for like every room. You need to be ready to perform whatever. You need to be calculating in your head, okay, what material is gonna work with these guys and what material should I maybe avoid with these guys, you know. So, and you only get that, like the answer to everything, from writing. You know what I mean? Like you only get that from writing and writing and writing all the time. I think you'll always have a style, like the way you do it, and like you'll always maybe like write certain subject matters, but maybe the intensity or like the swearing or like the themes is what you need to look for when you're like playing to different audiences and stuff.
Yeah, no, you know, definitely. And so how long have you been doing comedy for?
I think it's actually 5 years now since I started. So I started up in Aberdeen when I was a student. I joined the Comedy Society there and just performed to my mates for a year and a half. And then I got down to Edinburgh to like the Monkey Barrow and stuff like that when that was opening. And it was brilliant, like, because I think I got away with stuff a wee bit in that when I came down to Edinburgh and Glasgow and things to do fives, people were like, oh, who's this new guy? Yeah. When actually I'd been dying on my hole repeatedly.
In Aberdeen.
Up in Aberdeen. So I was able to come with like, I wouldn't say a tight five, but like a good five.
Yeah.
And do well or better than like new acts are doing. Yeah. And get the praise of a new act who's doing very well, you know.
Yes.
So that was good, and then we moved down to Glasgow and just started going from there. But it's been good, like bumpy road. but fun.
Always is.
Yeah.
Huh. And so the hour you're doing in Glasgow, what's it called?
It's called Counting on It.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do a show about, I've kind of had this in my head for a wee while, was that when right up until the age of about 23, I thought if you weren't achieving the greatest thing you could achieve, like being a famous rock star or a TV comic, then you failed at life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, if you're not doing that, then what's the point? You know, if you're not doing anything interesting. And I've done all these things through my life that I've been hoping would pay off to some sort of creative success. Essentially, I didn't want to follow the system or whatever. And I've realized as I'm older, I've been in a relationship longer and all this, that like actually, and it sounds silly, but like mundane is fine. And sometimes it's good.
Sure.
Like sometimes my favorite days now are when I read a book, go for a walk.
Yeah.
And like, you know, do a bit of writing or watch a bit of telly and spend the time with my girlfriend. They're the days that I enjoy the most. And I'm trying to push that message because I think with social media and stuff like that now, we all think that we have to be doing brilliant all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like we all have to be achieving and doing all this sort of stuff. And aim for that, like totally aim for that. But don't hate yourself or beat yourself up if that's not what you end up doing for a living.
Yeah, don't miss out on what you do have.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. It's all about the little moments, and like I suppose the ultimate end of it is going to be like, as long as you're happy, then you're living life right. Doesn't matter. Unless your happiness is from killing people, then maybe fix that. But but that's what I'm trying. Again, it's been a real revelation in my life. It's quelled a lot of anxieties and things like that, which is just sort of coming to terms with the fact that I actually really like where I am right now. And maybe on paper it wouldn't look brilliant, you know. I don't have an amazing job, and I'm not a rock star or whatever. But for me as an individual, I'm loving it. You know what I mean?
Oh, cool.
And that's what I want to get out to people. You know, like,
very good.
Just enjoy where you're at, and if you can't see the good things, maybe you're just not looking hard enough because they're there. You know what I mean? Everyone's got their shit to deal with, but I think everyone has something going on for them that they can get joy out of or whatever.
Definitely. You know? Okay. Because
I think as well, like, just because you maybe can't or aren't guaranteed making a career or something, it's not a reason not to do it. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like, I was talking to my mate Mark about this, and we were saying that, like, especially in stand-up, I feel like a lot of people feel like they need to be this far in this amount of time, or what's the point in doing it if you're not trying to make a career of it? It's like, well, maybe you just enjoy it and you're getting better at it and all that. Same with music, you know, like I'm in a band now, and like I've no intention if these things take off, that's brilliant. Yeah. But I'm not like, right, this band has to happen or my life was meaningless. You know what I mean?
You're not 16 in your bedroom with your mates.
Thinking,
gotta make this happen.
No, but like it's. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of the life that I now enjoy is probably the life that 18-year-old me would have never wanted to get to, you know. And it's nice that it feels good. So, and it's just writing the humour about that. So a lot of the show is going to be about things I've done in my life and like my experience with relationships, or my sort of like main relationship that I'm in now, and it'll round up to hopefully like the message I've just given. But there's a bit in the show I want to write about how I think every day the theme of the show turns on its head. Because if I'm having a good day, I'm like, life's wonderful, it's brilliant. If I had a shite day, I'm like, I'm going to tell everyone in the show to kill themselves. It's a fucking like, horrible world we live in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's just been fun to write. It's been fun. It's given me the oomph. I had a real writer's block for, I'm talking like 2 years, right? Where like I was saying to you, I came from Aberdeen and I came down and done these 5s. And off of these 5s, I started getting 10s, and then off of these 10s, I started getting like not the new material nights, like other nights of the week.
Sure, yeah.
And the aim was, I wanted to be a club comic. I wanted to be doing the 20s at the clubs, getting paid for it. That's how I wanted to make my living.
Closing, whatever.
Yeah. Just working my way up to that. But what I felt was like, if I didn't do my best stuff and didn't impress, then I would lose these opportunities. You know? So not very quickly, but I found my 10 and just didn't change it. Didn't change it for like 6 months. Maybe if I had like a nice idea and I'd had a couple of pints and was feeling confident, I'd throw in like one new joke. I'd be like, right, there's a new joke, let's try that. But so what happens is when I got to the other end of that, where I'd hit a point where, you know, I've noticed I've done the same material for about 6 months, 8 months, a year and a half, whatever. I didn't have the confidence to write new stuff anymore because I hadn't done it in so long. And I didn't know how, not that I didn't know how to write, but I'd forgot how my old bits even came to be.
Yes.
Like, they're just my jokes. I don't remember writing them. It's been so long now. Like, how do they do it? So even at like open mic nights, like every open mic night, like to 20 people in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, I would go with the intention of doing a new 10 minutes, and I get on stage, I just wouldn't do it. I'd be like, no, I've got to do the set. I've got to do the set. So like I was saying earlier, like when this comic was like, just book the hour, it'll push you to write. It has, like it totally has. And like I've done it, I feel I've done it at the right time where like an hour is not unfeasible. You know what I mean? An hour is definitely doable, provided I put the work in.
Yeah.
So it's good, like.
Yeah, I was speaking to some comics just over the last couple of weeks, and we were speaking about the sort of almighty hour, the comedy special, you know, the
debut as well.
The debut, and a lot of thoughts, because I listen to other comics podcasts and I've listened to what they're saying, and a lot of it starts to feel like the comedy hour may not almost be necessary now. Like, people are doing 30 minutes now, because audiences are like, 30 minutes is good enough.
Attention spans are going down, aren't they? Like, keeping someone's attention for an hour is not easy, and they'll feel that. Even, I feel it in myself, like, even if I'm watching a comic I really enjoy, I can find a couple of seconds where my brain just drifts off.
Exactly.
Know? Probably thinking about fucking Facebook or something like that, you know, but... Sorry, what were we going to
say? No, I was just going to say, Netflix, they don't really release that much information or that much data. But supposedly they released viewing figures to, I believe it was Bert Kreischer, comic in America, and the average viewing time of a stand-up comedy special is 26 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
so people watch 26 minutes.
Yeah.
They may come back, but they didn't give out what data, who returns, when did they finish it. But it was basically, if somebody sits down and watch a comedy special, they'll do about 26 minutes, and that's it.
And you see them now putting out these, like these series, like these mini-series that are 6 comics doing about that time, you know. Because it's about the time you want to mix it up as well. Like when you're at a comedy bill, like a comedy lineup, 20, 30 minutes is the maximum you'll get from anyone anyway. You know? So it does make sense. I think like last year, 2019, I didn't do a show. 2018, I split a show with my mate Ian Daniels, and like it is a good format. Like if you're gonna do it, because like they're not being given too much change, but you hit that middle ground and then you swap it round and bring it in for that. So So yeah, I've just cancelled my hour. I'll just do 20 minutes for the same price. Is what's happening there.
No, I think it's a huge accomplishment. I mean, as someone who's just trying to get his 5s, 10s, and that's still in that 15-minute area, doing an hour, I just think to myself, oh my goodness, that's huge.
Well, I've not done it yet. So.
No.
No, I know what you mean. It still felt really big. I think I had grander plans for it when I went in, like in terms of narrative and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I found the easiest way is actually like, especially if your show is about yourself essentially, rather than maybe trying to write this big long narrative, just write jokes, because you will write jokes to you anyway. You know, and the things that are happening in your life and the things you notice, like, you'll inevitably write it from your viewpoint. So if your show is in some way encompassing that, then, and it took me a couple of months after the show to realise this, like, don't try and, unless you have those capabilities, you know what I mean, and you're able, like, maybe you've got a couple of hours under your belt, or you're really passionate about a specific idea or something. But if that's blocking you, just write, like, just write whatever you think of. It's kind of what I do with that. Yeah, like the hour is daunting, but now it's got to a point where it's exciting. We were saying about how, like, the hour is not really necessary. Like, there's this thing as well about content providing, isn't there? Like I think because of social media and stuff, it's so much more about having a presence online than anywhere else. Yeah. It's like that's what brings people to you specifically. You know, it's almost like everyone has this avenue to create a following now. Yeah. Provided you give them something to enjoy, you know, or to digest or whatever. So what I'm trying to do is, like, I'm going to be making, I think by the time this goes out, I'll have like a Facebook page and all that. Sure. Jazz, which is
that would be important.
Quintessential now, but because I've been doing that, I've just been trying to get this back catalogue of just daft wee sketches and wee posts and like wee recordings and all that, because you just got to be giving them something. You know what I mean? You got to be giving them a reason. It's all well and good, like, putting your dates up. I think that's great. Yeah. Because obviously they come to your Facebook page because they like you and they want to see you. Yeah. But why not just...
You got to feed them.
Aye, exactly. Why not just give them a wee bit extra, be it a segment of your own stand-up or just a monologue or something like that, you know.
Do you follow, there's a comedian I started following just a couple of months back there now. His name's Andrew Schultz.
Oh, he comes up all the time on my Facebook. Yeah. He's funny, though.
He's funny.
He's good.
And he has now just started, like, you know, I don't think he would say no to Netflix. But I've heard him now on a few podcasts and stuff. And he's basically just releasing stuff on YouTube almost on a weekly basis. Yeah. Now, a lot of it's crowd work. And it clearly is a very talented comic and he's been doing it for a while, so his crowd work is really funny and it's good. But he is doing small, you could tell there's obviously small bits that it leads into. But he's releasing that every week, putting it out there, and what he is now saying is, I'm doing everything through YouTube. He says, and what he's found is he's just selling tickets like there's no tomorrow to every show. Well, and that's his comedy hour.
And what's good as well is, like, he's branded himself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you know the style of comedy you're getting with him. Like, you know what he does. And I think videos of you comparing, it's a really clever idea because it's free material. You're not giving anything away. No. By sending out a crowd work video, because there's likely chances you'll never have that interaction ever again. Yeah. So no one's going to be turning up going, oh, I've heard this before, you know. Like,
yeah,
so
exactly.
That's good. It's the same with sketches. Like, I've just been loving, like, writing all these daft wee sketches with my mates and all this sort of stuff. And also one thing I quite like is, like, sketches are a real good opportunity to be super silly in comedy. Like, you know, like you have to approach stand-up, I would say, with like a level of professionalism. And when you work out what you do that. Yeah, I would say my stand-up's not really silly. Like, I talk about real things, you know. Sure. Like my relationship and my job and all this sort of stuff. But on a sketch, I can be anyone and do anything, and it can be.
It's a character.
And it can just be the daftest idea, you know. Yeah. So that's been fun to do as well in terms of, like, just getting some content ready for putting it out, you know.
And have you got some of that shot now ready to go?
Yeah. So there's two ways I do it. Like, if I have a not very demanding sketch in terms of prep and all that, I'll just do it on my phone. Yeah. I think everyone's camera is good enough. Yeah. That, like, you won't put out it won't look so bad that no one will watch it. No. You know, as long as you've got a joke in there nice and quick or whatever, or it's getting shared. Yes. The other thing I'll do is, if I have a more demanding sketch, is I'm very lucky to have a friend who makes films and stuff like that. So
Right.
if we're having a sketch that might take a couple of weeks to do, like days to meet up, or if we need sets and props and like it needs to look good, then we go to her and we do it with that. So that's kind of my two stuff. So a lot of the ones I've done on my phone, they're just ready to go, and they're just daft wee things. You know what I mean, some of them take like 5 minutes to record, you know, and then the ones that I'm doing with my friend who does film, they're still in the process of being like recorded and edited.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to have these people to go to, you know.
Excellent resources.
One of my best mates from high school, he comes round and we just like, all right, what have we got in the house? Like, can we make this funny, you know? And then we just record it, and then exactly. And then when you have the more demanding one, I can go to my friend and just be like, hey, do you think this is feasible? Like, could we do that? Yeah.
And is that? Do you think that would be something you would do? I know you're doing stand-up comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you would like to do any kind of acting? Go down maybe the sort of that. I don't know. I don't want to say Saturday Night Live, but that more sketches and stuff like that.
It's kind of like, I don't know, because I would say no, but I still enjoy doing it. You know, like it's not. I remember thinking I would never want to be in front of a camera that way. But then I was lucky I got approached to do like a couple of pilots for like the BBC Scotland channel that never got commissioned, but we went through that whole filming process, and like it was the first time I'd ever been in front of a camera being silly.
Right.
And I really loved it. Like, it's a nice environment, it's collaborative, like everyone's having a lot of fun. But like I think if you do sketch, like if that's what you want to do, you've got to take it seriously, and you've got to be have a high output of stuff. Whereas the way I do it, I just kind of record a silly thing when it comes to mind, you know. So it's like we were saying with stand up. So like if you say you're doing 20 minutes, you're doing a 20-minute slot, and you knew you needed 20 minutes by this time, you would have to write to that 20 minutes. So if you have a sketch show, assumedly you need to have all these sketches and all these ways of doing it. So yeah, it's not really something I wouldn't turn it down if it came my way, but like I'm not pushing for it. If that makes sense, you know. But then as well, we're in like a time where it's so difficult for, I feel like, even the most talented acts to make a living solely from comedy. You know? There's a huge oversaturation that everyone talks about of like acts and maybe not enough nights and this sort of thing. That you can be creative in other ways, so that your sole career might not be comedian, but it might be an accumulation of multiple art forms, you know. Like sketch and podcast or whatever. Oh, it's exactly why I started the podcast as well. It was for the same ideas. Obviously, I'm going to I'll try and hopefully promote myself, but obviously help out other comics as well. Gives on our platform. Totally.
And that's what it's all about. You're just trying to get yourself out there. You know. So hopefully the viewing figures are high. The viewing figures are reasonably okay for the first 48 hours. So we're doing not too bad. Happy days. We'll wait and see what happens though. So how do you find like gigging in Scotland over like? Have you gigged outside of Scotland yet? No, I haven't. So I've gigged mainly. I did one gig at the Yes Bar at the. But it wasn't the Yes Bar. It was a different night. It was somebody else that was hosting it. Cool. It was Obi. It was hosting it, and I did a gig there. And that was my second gig. I'd done my first gig in Dundee at Icebreakers, and then the rest of the time it's been Aberdeen at Breakneck and Edinburgh's Mirth, and I've done 2 Red Raws. So. Yeah, that's pretty much my turnaround has been all that. And Monkey Barrel, of course, as well. Do you notice differences even when you go to cities? Like, have you seen anything that you've been like, oh, I need to, like, they're a bit like this or they're a bit like that? Not huge. I definitely, at the Monkey Barrel, I found that the audience was much more varied. And who could be in there? Yeah, totally. So I remember the first time I went, it was probably like a busload of people, and they'd all came in, obviously a tourist group, and they were all from Prague. And so their English wasn't the best, and so you went out, you thought, oh, it's a huge crowd, and then suddenly you realise they're all from Prague, no one knows, and nobody really knows what's going on. And so again, like you said, it's that, okay, I'm going to tell a joke, it's about Dundee, they're not going to get this, I'm going to have to switch this up.
Aye, totally.
And I remember speaking to Joe McTiernan, and he said, tell it this joke like that. So they'll get the idea that, yes, Dundee's a city, but it's not, doesn't matter about the punch, it doesn't make the punchline anymore.
Yeah.
So it had to change things up. And so it did help. But again, that audience was, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to have to adjust.
You can't do the regional stuff.
Regional stuff's not going to work.
You could do loads of that in Glasgow. You know, you go to Glasgow and the audience are either from there or have lived there for a long time.
Sure.
And you can reference A, B, and C. I remember doing a gig in Aberdeen at my work, right? So, like, I'd been going about a year and a half, like 2 years, in Aberdeen, and my boss knew I did stand-up, and he's like, why don't we do a comedy night here? Why do we do a comedy night here? Blah, blah, blah. And he was Romanian, the guy. Like, there was a Romanian-owned company. And the Romanian Society contacted the Comedy Society and was like, hey, we're going to put on a comedy night at the Coffee House, which is where I work. You can... Yeah, so it was where I worked at the time. And then they were like, why don't some of your acts come and perform, because you'll be better than us.
Yeah.
So you can go in like in between like the middle of us. And we were like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. So I was a wee bit nervous because it was like my first, I've never performed in front of my workmates. I'm going to do it at my work, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do it. So we turn up, 3 of us are there to do it. And the whole... of the whole Romanian society, there's 2 people who have now decided to do it. And they've never gigged before. Right?
No.
It's the president and one of the president's pals. And they've advertised a 3-hour show.
Right.
And we're all open spots. So I'm like, there's no way we're going to do like a fucking 3-hour show. But like, well, I'll host and do as much as we can. So I get on stage and I'm like, Coffee House, are you ready for some comedy? I'm like, no one replies. And I'm like... the whole audience are Romanian. Like the whole audience, like their English isn't great, so like I'm trying to banter with them and stuff, and it's just not happening. And I was like, oh god. So then I bring the first act on. My mate Ian like dies in his hole, which I've done many times in front of him as well. He has this great bit where he's like mimicking walking into a house party with a big crate of beers, and as he does that, someone orders a coffee, and he's just being heckled by the coffee machine, like while he's doing that, and no one gets it. And then in the break, one of the acts is like, hey, I've got this idea for a joke. It's basically I'm going to do 20 minutes, and it's 20 minutes of setup and then one punchline. Should I do it? And I was like, absolutely fucking not. Like, that's a terrible idea. And then he goes, all right, I'm pulling out then. Like, I'm not doing this show. So now we have 2 acts left. So we go back in the second section, and I die on my arse again, and all my work colleagues are watching me because they're the only other people that are there just watching me struggle. And then I bring on my mate, and he dies in his arse as well. And then finally we get to the Romanian guy, and I'm like, good, all right, because he's going to go on.
One of their own.
It'll be his first gig, and he'll die on his arse, and then they'll see it's not so fucking easy, won't they? And what does he do? He goes on and does his whole set in Romanian and smashes it.
Yeah,
It just makes us look like shite. And then my manager comes up, and he's like, yeah, don't worry, you've always got a job here. Like, you don't have to go pursuing this comedy nonsense if you don't want to.
You're a barista.
Yeah. I always, man, sadly.
Oh well, you learn a lot from these shows as well.
Yeah, well, sometimes they're the best ones. I did one in Carlisle that was fucking crazy, man. Like I turned up thinking it was like a comedy. Like I turned up thinking it was like a club comedy show, and it turns out I was this guy's tour support. This guy who was doing this tour in all these like pubs around about the UK. And like, oh my god, man! Like, I went into this bar. It was like the scariest old man bar you have like ever seen in your life. And it's like 10 to 7 on a Thursday, and they've got a bouncer. And I'm like, why? What goes on in here that you need this security? Yeah. And like again, like I say, it's 10 to 7. They have 11 regulars in who are all staring at me as I come in, and the dance music is absolutely fucking blaring, like it's all going for it. And there's 2 regulars and Zimmers. And one of them, Cascada, every time we touch comes on, and he's like, fucking yeah, like, fucking away it. And then I'm like, what the fuck is it? Oh yeah, and to the side of the stage is a guy tuning his guitar, and it's a comedy and music night, so it'll be a comedy show and then the music. And and then I'm like, that can't be where we're performing, like that can't be it. So I go around to look for another stage or a function room where I assume the comedy is. I don't find a function room. I find the gents' toilet that has no door, but the urinals are all lined up where the door should be. So I'm just watching lads take a piss, and they're like, all right, mate, as I come in. So then I go up to the the guy, and I'm like, is that where the comedy happens? And he's like, is that no good enough for you? Like, and I was like, no, it's fine. Like, is that right? So I'm like, great. Now I've pissed off the staff. Right?
Yeah.
So I go and sit down, and this bar is getting rammed. Shows me to start at 8. It's getting absolutely rammed, and no one is there for comedy, man. Like, no one. It's all like
they
nets
don't
and like hen do's and all this sort of stuff, and it's there local. And they've come out. So then the guy finally turns up, and he's never seen the venue, so he's shiting himself because he's waiting to do his hour.
Yeah.
So then he's like, all right, let's get set up. So if you can imagine a pub, like, it's just full of punters standing everywhere. He's kind of like, pardon me, excuse me, setting up rows of 4 chairs in the middle of the pub. And a guy comes up to him and goes, what are you doing there? And he's like, oh, I'm setting up for the comedy show. And he goes, and you expect us to fucking sit? And he tries to play it off as like a wee like sort of thing. And then he goes back and says, that cunt wants us to sit and listen to his shitey jokes all night. And I'm just like, how is this going to go down, man? So the running order was he's got a Canadian mate with him who's going to host up the front doing 20.
Right.
And I'm to come on and do 15.
Right.
And then the main guy, after a break, is to do his hour, right? And he has this big sign that has his name on it. It's like da comedy show.
Yeah.
Like about one of those ones that you hang up and that. And he comes on, the Canadian guy, and goes, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for some comedy? And one of the regulars goes, we don't want your fucking comedy. And everyone cheers. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then...
don't ask a question you don't know what the answer is.
And then he starts doing his material, and no one's listening. Like there's a couple of people sitting at the front trying to listen, but you cannot hear it over the chatter of everyone else.
Yeah.
And every so often, the regular keeps going, we can't hear you, we can't hear you. And then like the absolute fucking icing on it is that every so often the big sign that says comedy just hits the ground. Like, it just falls, and everyone in the bar goes, yeah! It's like every time it hits the ground. And then the guy who's running the gig will run up there and fix it and that. And then the first time they all cheered for, like, fuck off comedy, basically.
Yeah.
The guy who's running it's like, maybe we should move it to this corner over here. I'm like, mate, you have created this monster. I'm like, don't try and put makeup on it now, mate.
Yeah.
We've got to batter through this.
Yeah.
And the whole time no one's listening to him, there's this wee old lady at the back going, oh, let him tell his stories, eh? Let him tell his stories. And then he somehow endures 20 minutes, and then he's like, ladies and gentlemen, this next act has come all the way from Fife to entertain you. Please welcome to stage Mr. Declan Mcguigan. And then I come on to a chant of fuck off from the regulars of the bar. And I'm like, oh my God. And I go on, and it went all right. It wasn't bad. I just went on, and it was so fucking loud. Like, I was louder than than any of them like could be to me. And then I had by no means everyone listening, but I was able to like get laughs and get response and have people after me like, oh, it was really good, blah blah. And I'd like pre-arranged for the bouncer to like fireman lift me off stage after I'd said a certain word, and I would make it look like I was against that, like scream freedom on, because you got to play your stereotypes.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
But it was just insane, man. It was crazy. There was a point where the Canadian host. Now, what I'll say is, like, when you're performing at a comedy club and people are chatting, you have the right to be like, hey, shut the fuck up, in some shape or form.
Sure,
To be like, make a joke about it, got to be quiet.
Yeah.
Because that's, loads of people can entertain.
Of course.
When you have invaded a big old man's pub and have subjected them to comedy they do not want, you do not do that.
Yeah.
And 15 minutes like through this guy's set, he starts going to the regulars, hey guys, you want to shut the fuck up? You want to fucking, because you're ruining this fucking show. I'm trying to fucking do my stuff up here, and you motherfuckers keep. I honestly thought they were going to kick the fucking shit out.
Yeah, they're.
I've never ever walked away from a gig and I came this close like that time, because it was like, it was not what I'd signed up for. I'd been told it was like a friendly new material night. I'd went there to try some new jokes, and I was like, fuck this. I'm not trying anything other than to survive in this environment. But oh man, that was just crazy.
I remember I did a gig in it's still running now actually. It's it's in Helensburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And I got invited to do the gig. It was probably around about, I think it was my 8th or 9th gig.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came through to do a gig there. I just remember the first guy going on. I won't say who it was.
Okay.
And he went on, and it was the very first time the gig had ever took place in this little pub.
Aye.
And it was a nice pub, and it didn't initially when I walked in. I didn't think, oh, this is going to be rough or anything like that. It looked reasonably fine.
Yeah.
But I could tell inside it was all kind of more older people, and they were all kind of just sitting. It felt like a nice wee local pub.
Aye.
And the first comic comes on, and his first joke is a paedophile joke.
It's classic.
You know, just sets the whole room up.
So that's how you want to start.
And he dies with it.
Aye.
The audience heckles him because it's almost like they didn't even know what was going on. Why is this guy now standing up here with a mic and speaking? Even though the host had got up and done his thing, they were all kind of like, oh, okay. But they were still trying to watch the horse race and the football and stuff.
Oh, man.
And he just hut this joke out there. And I just remember these two old guys that were just like, what did you say?
Aye.
And they just flipped out and they were like, get him off.
Aye.
Get him. And they're shouting
Really?
at the bar banner, get him off now. And
man.
and then he kind of panicked, and then he started to try and do other material, but by this time the audience are like, no, we don't even want you up there now.
Yeah.
And then he stops and he goes, so what else do you want me to talk about? I think he just lost all confidence. And I'm standing up there, and Ian TC was there as well, and I remember just looking at him and going, oh my goodness, he may have killed the gig as well. But I just felt like, yeah, these are all grandfathers. They've probably spent the Saturday afternoon with the grandkids, and you've now hit them with some sort of paedophile joke.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, we're not having it.
But it can go, was it an alright joke? Like, do you think in the right room it could have landed? Or
I don't think so. I don't think it was worked out enough.
Aye, that's right. Like, he might have got it later.
He may have got it later. It just wasn't a great joke, and I don't think they were the crowd for it, like you said.
Aye,
it just was everything it could go wrong went wrong.
It can go the other way though, where like obviously like something that comics talk a lot about is trigger words. You know what I mean? So like you can tell a joke that involves a heavy subject matter, but they just hear the word and then they flip off, and that's right. It. But like I was doing a gig in Glasgow. It was like a multi-talent night, and like it was great fun. It was really good.
Sure.
And then went outside for a ciggy, and this guy came up to me and was like, oh, you were great, man, you were great, like, really enjoyed you, but why are you doing that pedo shit? Like, that doesn't fly here, like, shouldn't fly. And I hadn't once mentioned the word pedophile, and what had happened was I'd referenced that I look like a ginger Rolf Harris.
Right.
And that flipped him off.
That was all.
You just don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I was like, mate, I've got a list of pedo jokes if you want good ones. Like, rather than just a fucking Rolf Harris reference.
Yeah,
like.
this was just a particularly bad paedophile joke.
Okay.
And it like
not
said,
one of the belters. It's not the
just
Christmas
not a good
cracker
one.
word,
No,
like.
it wasn't a good. I would say it took the whole first section
to recover it.
Mm-hmm. They just were not. I think they thought, oh, is this what this is? We know what this is. They're all just going to be telling paedophile jokes.
Yeah.
And the next guy got up. It was David Friends, and he did really well. And I don't think he got the response he should have got. And then the next person, and they sort of laid the groundwork. But even initially, when somebody went on before me, they were getting laughs, and it was like they had relaxed by that time. They were like, okay, we're not that guy. We're going to have to maybe escort him out.
Yeah.
But everything else is okay. But I just always remember that. It was like,
yeah, man.
I think
it's almost entertaining though from your perspective, isn't it? Like,
exactly.
Like, there's nothing better than seesaw.
Yeah, you're just like, oh.
But like, I remember doing a gig for the Comedy Society in Aberdeen, and like this guy went on, and like, again, I won't name him, but like, I think it was like his second gig.
Sure.
And he was like, oh, I do dark material, which is always the warning signs.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you've just listened to Frankie Boyle and you've taken the wrong message from him. Yeah, you think you're talented enough to do it. And he went on and did like an 11-minute monologue of like, I can't quite remember the details because I kind of just zoned out of it. It was basically like putting a bag over his sister's head and shagging her with her thinking it's her boyfriend, and then him saying it's him, and it was just awful.
Yeah,
like,
just not.
And like, he was kind of lucky because like you were saying about those old guys like shouting like, get him off. one thing I've noticed is like student crowds, when they don't like you, they tend to just shut down. Do you know what I mean? They just kind of like stop paying attention to you, wait till you're off.
Yeah.
And then that's it. But if he'd been in a club, man, like he could have got battered.
Yeah.
We could have been like pretty heavy going.
Yeah, definitely. The only other gig that I've had, I mean, I've had gigs where I've not done well and, you know, things like that. But I remember I had the one woman, I think I've mentioned it before on the podcast. I had the woman who OD'd while I was on stage.
Fuck. Oh.
Now, I hope it wasn't because I was that bad, you know. Which I'm sure it probably could have been
checked out of existence.
But I just remember being up there and doing my bit, and I was maybe 2-3 minutes in at most, and she just clattered right, and this was in Aberdeen. She clattered right into the wee table in front of her, and her boyfriend just stood up and he just put his hands in the air and he's like, "I did not give her anything." It's just like lying on the ground. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on here?
That man's guilty conscience is pushing there. I remember there was I used to run a night up in Aberdeen with Mark Christie and Andrew Bullock, and like Andy was hosting one time, and he was just doing this, talking to this guy at the front, and he was saying like you know, I think the audience interaction came round that like he looked like a bit of a paedophile.
Yeah.
And then the guy leapt up, tried to wrestle the mic off of Andy, repeating over and over again, "I'm not a paedophile, I'm not a paedophile, I'm not a paedophile," into the audience. And I'm like, man, that's what a pedo would do. Like,
yeah.
You got to like
You're
not do
denying
that.
too much.
Yeah, like be careful there. That's maybe.
And do you ever, you mentioned doing hosting and stuff, do you do hosting at all?
I love hosting.
Yeah.
Love it.
Some people don't like it.
I'd say just get stuck in.
Yeah.
Like that is, if you have any fear of getting up on the stage in the first place, that's
a good way to do it.
In my opinion, because like I just love it. Like it's I was talking earlier about like getting fed up. I maybe didn't mention that. Obviously, the battle you're always fighting with when you're repeatedly doing the same set or whatever is getting sick of your own shit. You know what I mean? Being like, God, I can't even be arsed saying this. So at a point where I wasn't really writing, hosting was a huge relief from that. And initially it is terrifying, but it's so rewarding, man.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding because I think the illusion of stand-up is very basic form. Like, not a lot. Everyone's aware, I would say, that it's not this, but it's what's given off, is that the comic went up there and just said things that were in his mind, you know, like that he didn't sit and write them and all this sort of stuff.
Of course, yeah.
That's the illusion of it. Hosting is a lot of the time literally that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like you've not you might have stock phrases or things that you use, and there's the like compare tropes that that are like the stock answers of things you can say. But that's where you'll learn how to be quick, and it'll come in handy in your set. You know what I mean? Like once you're hosting and you get a heckle or something happens in the room, you'll have developed the ability to bounce off of that.
Yeah.
I love hosting, like, and I just love chatting to folk. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of.
I've only done it a few times. I've done it mostly up in Aberdeen. I've done it on the
Thursday,
on the Breakneck, for the open mics.
Yeah.
So they've said, look, we need somebody to host.
Do you enjoy it?
Take a turn. I didn't actually mind it. I mean, I thought it was one of those times like, you know what, I'm better doing it so that I'll get more comfortable on stage, and again, like you said, it's just another skill.
Aye, yeah, in your arsenal.
And you develop it, and I picked up the best part about doing it was you sometimes pick up bits of new material.
Aye, yeah, something
really easily.
In the room. I got one of my best vegan jokes about turning vegan from something that happened in the room. You know, it was like a one response, and that became the punchline over.
Are you vegan?
So I was vegan for about 3 months. You said that in a way of get the fuck out of this room if you want. I tried it for a couple of months, and then
so we're not going to Five Guys after this then.
They got a vegan burger. KFC have got a bloody vegan burger. I've not tried it yet. There you go. But I'm veggie. I've been veggie for 2 years.
So you're vegetarian,
with the hope of becoming a wanker a vegan in the future. It's tough, man.
I'm sure it does.
I live a bevy heavy life, and
and meat's
cheese
good
and
for
chips
it.
are tempting. And cheese and chips is like, that's when you know you're not cut out to be a vegan, because you could just have the chips.
Yeah, you could.
Put the bloody
get the cheese on it.
Cheese all over that for me, would you? You know, I can't. I did it for like 3-4 months. And it was really rewarding.
Yeah.
But and my health felt great. But cheese and chocolate, man, like.
It's
tough. Too tempting,
some things are tough to give up.
But then, like, I kind of like, I'm vegetarian, and like I think it's good, and I've reduced my dairy intake and stuff. But then I kind of wonder, like, what am I really doing for the world. I sound like such a terrible advocate for vegetarians. I'm like, why? What's even the point? But no, I think obviously if everyone did it, vegetarian and veganism would have huge beneficial after effects on the planet and everything.
Sure.
But for me as an individual, I kind of just imagine like a cow on a conveyor belt, like away into the slaughterhouse. And thanks to me, it stops 30 seconds early, and I'm like, well done, man, I did that for you. But it was something I'd wanted to do for a long while, like, was be vegetarian and go vegan. So I think I will get round there again. You need the time of day to make your own meals, man.
Sure,
like you get fucking sick of hummus and falafel, and that's all that the shops sell if you're just running to get a sandwich.
Yeah, you're a braver man than me.
Can't live without the bacon.
No, I like my meat. Yeah, it's I
want to take that out of context and make it my ringtone. Just you go, I like my meat.
I like my meat. I've had vegetarian meals and stuff like that.
Oh, good on you, man.
Yeah, well done. It's as good as it's going to get.
My girlfriend's parents cannot wrap their head around it. Every time I go around, they're like, "What do you eat? What do you eat?" And I'm like, "I just eat the grass off the ground." You'll see me out in the garden, just munching on the stuff.
Is your girlfriend vegetarian or vegan?
Yeah, well, she doesn't eat meat either, so it makes it easier in the house.
Yeah,
of
course.
Which is cool. I think the thing I find, Danielle, my girlfriend, her dad was like, "Nah, you're vegetarian, vegan, are you, Declan?" And I'm like, "Aye." He goes, "So what'd you do about your leather shoes then?" And I was like, "Sean, I can't afford leather shoes. There's no danger of that. Don't worry." But it's just, I don't know. I feel kind of good about it. It was Simon Amstell on a podcast, like I was listening to, and he was kind of he had a really good way of pitching it, where it wasn't shoving it in your face, and like being like, "You're killing it." He just kind of displayed the facts as he knew them, like being like, "This is how it is."
Yeah.
And this is what I believe in. And I was like,
sure,
fuck it, I'll give it a try. You know?
Yeah, well, good for you.
I went vegan 2 weeks before Christmas. My mum fucking hated me. So I was like, "So I've just bought the fucking turkey and you're going vegan."
Yeah. Oh man. I keep I have my own hens and ducks that I keep. Cool. And so I got 9 ducks and
you have 9 ducks.
I got 9
in
ducks.
Dundee, there's 9 ducks just
there's 9
about
ducks
the place,
kicking about in my back garden right now. And I've got 6 hens.
Do you name them?
No, I don't name them.
Don't get personally attached.
Well, I've not had any. Like I said, I don't have any issues with killing an animal to eat it.
Okay, so have you killed a chicken?
I've killed chicken.
See, that's fair in a way, even though I now think you're a monster. But like that, because what you're doing is what I think the main problem is for a lot of folk is like most people live in the disassociation. You know what I mean? They're like, they just buy it packaged. They don't see the process, whereas you actively do the process.
Yeah, I've done the whole thing.
They're like, you know, if someone ever comes up to you. And it's like, you know, fucking, you don't know what goes through to make that animal. You can be like, "Mate, I've fucking killed millions of chickens with my bare hands."
Exactly. Well, yeah,
how do you kill a chicken? How do you do it?
I've done it through two ways. Honestly, the three
just for the viewers.
My 3 subscribers have just lost. They're just gone. You know,
hey, they might have a couple of chickens and they don't know how to go about it. Like,
I've done it through what they call a killing cone before, which sounds awful now when I'm saying it. It's basically just a cone. It sounds
like just a cone you own that you just batter them with. I call it my killing cone.
It's a killing cone.
You tell your kids, like, you keep misbehaving, I'll get the killing cone
Once
out.
you've generally got a hold of a hen, it just sort of freezes.
Accepts its
It just
fate.
accepts. It's just like if a predator grabs it, it just goes... You grab it and you slide it into this cone where its head just pops out. And then you basically just go and slice the throat. And it's dead. It's pretty much just dead instantly.
Wow.
Or you could still do it the old-fashioned way and pull the. You just
like
just a slip twist. No, it's gone.
Oh man.
But I've and
I just can't wrap my head around. Like,
well, people do. They think it's weird, but I get all. The reason I got my own hens and eggs is, again, I don't like the idea of factory farming. But I don't have any issues with
consuming meat.
Yeah. I don't, some people, I've had a discussion with somebody else who's vegan, and they're a lot less courteous. Like, they're basically like you're a bad person.
The way I see it is like I wouldn't eat meat. I wouldn't be in that situation. But your life is your life. I'm not
exactly.
And like, even if my motive was to convert everyone to vegan, calling you a cunt over and over again isn't gonna. Is it? Oh, maybe I should stop because you know, if anything, it's gonna push you more towards that. You know, like.
So when I saw I thought, well, I can't own a cow. I can't. You know, there's certain limitations to what I can do, and so I saw how the battery hen eggs and things like that. Now, battery hen eggs in Britain now have actually been reduced down to, I think there's only about 20% of eggs are produced by battery hen eggs now. Personally, I think the government should just say, we're not doing battery hen eggs, and that's the end of it. You want to do free-range eggs, that's all we're doing. Now, I know that free range can mean they're upheld in something just in front of us, and that's free range. I get that we have to be careful how we use that word. Mine are pretty much free range. They've got an area that's secure at
You'll
night.
see them at the Weatherspoons on a Wednesday. Like,
but they're still wandering around my garden, and they're pretty much, you know, they wander around.
Your garden?
It's pretty big.
It's
big enough. Yeah, it's big enough. It's big enough for them to all wander around on. And they get out. I let them out 2 or 3 times in the week. In the summer, they get out a lot more because everything's growing quicker. Whereas in the winter, it's hard for the grass to grow, and they'll just wreck it. Because hens will just rip everything up. But
was the first chicken you killed, was it hard to do?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Man, see, when the apocalypse comes, I want you on my side.
Yeah,
man, like,
there was a part of me I had no pleasure in doing it, but I did realise it was part of having it.
It must be
like the lifestyle I'm trying to lead.
But it must be a very sort of sobering moment when because what you've done. People will be like, how you do that, but that is what happens. You know, you just cut out the middleman. You know. Cut his head off. and so you now fully understand the moral or whatever you want to say, like methods of meat.
I've only been 1 duck and 2 hens, but then after that I didn't do it again because I didn't do it again because to actually produce the hens for eating or things like that, it was going to take up too much time, too much room. I was going to have to produce too many to fulfill. If I said, right, I want to eat chicken once a week, then that's 52 hens at some point. That's really what you're looking at, you know. And you could have a batch of so many and then kill them all at once and freeze them and things like that. But it was just too much to do. And so I was like, right, I'm not going to do that. I'll just have them to get eggs. And so basically,
is that where you're at now? Like,
that's where I'm at. And initially, I decided I was only going to do it for eggs, but you know, then I thought, well, I'll try it out.
And you're hungry and you couldn't be arsed going to the takeaway.
Exactly.
Like, well,
but we just do eggs now, and I get probably in the summer time when it's the most light because they need about 14 hours of light to produce an egg. I could get anything from 60 all the way up to about 90 eggs. In a week. So I get family and friends will come in and
how's a fresh egg taste to you?
It's amazing.
Is it good? Is it way
different.
Better?
Yeah, it's way better because what I did learn when you obviously start going down this road and investigating it all, the eggs that you would generally get in the supermarket are generally about a week plus, like a week. They're older than a week, and the nourishment in an egg is generally after the first 4 days, it loses like a significant amount of its nourishment after those 4 days. So your eggs are they're not as good as what you would get like fresh eggs, as they say. So, I get fresh eggs, and duck eggs are the best.
So do you have omelettes every day? Scrambled eggs
Not
for
every
breakfast?
day, but when you've got them coming in so much, it's like, oh no, not another egg, you know. But I generally have a few eggs every week.
If anyone ever gets egged in Dundee, they're coming to your door first. Like, come on, you've got like 1 million eggs. Like, who's the guy who's going to do it?
But I did that initially because I saw a factory farming video of what was happening to hens and stuff like that. And so I was just like, you know what, I'm going to do this myself. I've got a bit of room. I fancy doing it. And I get interested in things like that. I'm like, I would like to figure this out. So now I've incubated ducks and hens, ducks, I've put them in a little incubator. My niece and nephew came up, and we let them incubate over a certain. I mean, they hatched and
my
all
mum
that.
just got me a potted plant, but you gave them a bloody duck.
So I've done all that as well, and then reared them up, and then that's how I've ended up with 9 ducks because I kept doing them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because I've only ended up. There's only one of them that's a male.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, there's 8 females in him.
Aye,
you know,
he's just having a great
he's got his own little sort of haram going on. You know,
little duck following. Oh man, how have you never done stand-up about that? I've never seen you. You've probably normalised it. Just having
it's like,
chickens and ducks.
Yeah, it's not a big deal anymore having them, but
you can be too close to a thing sometimes
Yeah.
to get the humour out of it, or like get as much jokes out of it. But man, that's hilarious. Like just the image you use.
yeah,
Open all these chickens and ducks. You never told me your other methods of killing them. So you've got
Well,
a cone you shove
the
them
clone,
through.
the cone that you've got the killing cone, and then the only other one is the one I said like you could just pop the
those
neck.
are 2.
They're
Oh,
the
sorry,
2.
I thought there was a third.
No,
Yeah.
that's the 2, and there probably is a third. But it's always the same. Even if some of them I've seen them where they just stun them, and so it's stunned, and then they put them in the killing cone and do the same thing. But they're the 2 ways of doing it.
Where'd you buy a killing cone?
You just buy them online, sell them on Amazon.
That's worrying, man. Any can just buy a killing cone.
I went on YouTube. I remember the first time I was looking at doing it, and I looked on YouTube, and this guy's like, "Now you can get this killing cone, blah blah blah," and he was some guy from America. He's like, "I never use one. I take a bag, and it's just basically a plastic bag that he had like fertilizer in or something at one point, and he just cuts a hole at the end." And then he just shoved it over the top of this big goose. And so it was trapped.
Does he like sneak up on it and just
he just grabbed it and he shoved the bag over its head, and the head's just sticking out from the bag. And he's like, "There we go." And then he just walked away with it. And I was just like,
oh, that's crazy, man. He loves his job. Like he loves
but he was just a farmer. He's just like, "That's what I do," you know, and he's got all these geese and that's what he does. And, you know.
I think the weirdest animal we've ever owned, like when I was young, when I was like 12 or 13, my mum started getting snakes. Like we used to own like loads of snakes.
Okay.
I got up to like 8 or 9 at one point.
Kind of snakes.
Mostly corn snakes. They're kind of like if you know, they're kind of like,
friendly,
docile. But they're also the most common. Like if you're getting a pet, we had a bull. I think it's called the bull snake or something like that. It's funny because they're all named after Harry Potter characters.
Right,
and
okay.
he was Harry, and we were like, Harry's a dick, man. Like fucking like Harry's. Every time you walk past, you're like, and we ended up giving that one away because
he was trying to bite you.
Like it. Stuck him in the killing cone for snakes. Like that was be pretty ineffective on that, man. But we had a boa constrictor as well, which I really liked. It was like I like the big snakes because I can see what they're up to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
See the wee snakes, I'm like, you sneaky bastard.
Yeah.
So, my mum, when we first started getting snakes, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people's immediate response is
Indiana Jones in it.
Exactly. So I came home to my mum because we got the snake. I was like, Mum, I heard this story, right? That this woman had a boa constrictor.
Yeah.
And she used to just let it out and about. And one night she woke up and the snake was halfway up her, eating her. And I was like, "Is that going to happen to us?" And she went, "Oh, no, didn't he be silly?" And I was like, "Oh, thank God." And she goes, "They'd eat your head first." And I was like, "Oh, great, I'll wake up in it." Like, rather than halfway. But, oh, man, it was crazy. So we used to, it was like all my mum, we used to breed the snakes, right?
All right, yeah.
So you breed the corn snakes and then you'd sell what you could individually and then you give the rest to like, the snake shop and that. And or the reptile shop rather. And I don't know if you know, like they lay like large clutches. You know?
They do, yeah.
And you can get a double clutch as well, which is like the second wave of it. And snake sex is bogging, by the way. You ever seen it? Like, oh my God, right? So it's rape. Like it's like that's straight up. The male snake has 2 penises, right? So this is becoming a biology thing. Oh, 2 penises, right? And it chases after the female snake and it wraps itself around it when it's caught it, and then there's just some pulsating, and that's bish bash bosh done. You know what I mean? That's how they do it. So you do, because I mind one time. So obviously they're cold-blooded, so you need heat mats.
That's right, yeah.
So one of them, Albus Dumbledore, he's sort of wriggling about the place. I'm like, what's going on? It's quite late at night, and his heat mats broke, so he's dying, right? And my mum's like, we're gonna have to put him in with another snake. Now, you're never meant to do this because
No.
they'll fight. They'll try and eat the other one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Mum, if we do that, they'll kill each other. And then she's like, well, it's going to die anyway, you know, so like our best chance is that we just put them in together. So I was like, all right, cool, we'll do that. So they go off to bed. I'm watching telly late till night, and then I hear dunce, 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 and I'm like, oh my God, they're killing each other. And I go up, and Albus and Ron are shagging. The pair of guys are shagging. And then, like, by the end of it, I look up, and they're both squirming at either end. And I'm like, I wonder if they just realised they're both dudes. And like, they're like straight snakes that have just done it. But then I thought it was really funny because it was like Albus and Ron, and I could sell it as some sort of horrible Harry Potter erotica, like Albus sleeps with Ron, and then just post that. So the snakes lay their clutches and that. So you end up with the amount of snakes, like female to male ratio we had. You end up with what survives about 80 baby corn snakes, you know. And
Right.
you put them in the wee containers running under the heat mat of a wee water bottle, right?
Right.
They're tiny wee things.
Yeah.
So they're wriggly, right?
Right,
They're wriggly.
right.
So in the process of decanting them all into their wee containers, we
Yeah.
lost 5.
Oh no.
5 just got out. And I'm like, oh, there's fucking 5 snakes like kicking about this house.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's fine, they'll turn up or they'll die. It was like her thing. And I found all 5 of them myself individually.
Right.
And it was awful. Like one time I was sitting watching the telly, and I just heard and there's one right there, and I'm like, oh yeah, bastard! Like, it was on the side of the the windowsill. Another time I was studying. I had like my hires at the time.
Yeah.
And it just comes up the bed to me, and I'm like, fuck it. And then another time, this was one of the worst ones. I pick up my boxers and it falls out of my boxers.
Oh,
I'm going to
no.
put my boxers on. I'm like, great almighty. And then I can't remember how they found the 4th one, but the 5th one was I'd come in from school and the dog was back, and we kept it in my wee sister's room while everyone's out. So my mum was like, Zach's in the bedroom, can you let him out and take him a walk? I'd left this wee note, and I was like, all right, cool. So I go to let Zach out, and I still don't understand how this happened. As I opened the door, the snake just fell on my head. Like from the top of the thing, fell on my head. My mum's walking around Tesco, and she gets a call from me. She's like, oh, and I was like, if I find one more fucking snake in this fucking house, I swear to God. Like, just ridiculous, man. Like, there's something else.
Last weekend, I was speaking to a friend of mine who works for the police here in Dundee, and he was saying that they've obviously got some jail cells here at Bell Street when they pick guys up on a Saturday or whatever.
Rowdy bastards.
Yeah, exactly. And he says that during the week, people had been complaining that there was something looking at them from the toilet.
No way.
They were like freaking out.
Aye.
And they were like, obviously they would be looking in, like, there's nothing there, you know. And then seemingly this one weekend, this guy, he was lying there and he said he just heard this splosh. And he's like, wait a minute. And then he just heard this, and it was like wet feet on the floor. And he just gets up and he flicks the light on. Here's this rat in the cell with him.
It's just been crawling up the toilet.
Yeah, well, the toilet part, like the little tube area, that's only full of water, but this much. The rest of it's just an empty sewer pipe.
Aye.
So it obviously found itself in there.
Aye.
It's been going around the police thing, and it jumped into the water and then came up the pan and came out, and now it's in the cell and it's looking around, looking for food or whatever. And the guy is...
I've been eating shite for ages.
Yeah, he's just flipping out.
Aye.
And he's screaming and shouting, and the officer guy's like, what is it? And he's like, there's a rat in here. And the guy looks and he's like, okay.
That'll be what's been staring
Okay,
at you.
no, just stand there, no problem. So they trapped the rat and got rid of it. But
I mind, they brought it to you and they're like, can you breed these?
No.
I mind when I was like 9 or 10. Are you aware of News Round, like the kids like news program?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was watching that when I was younger, and they had this story which was like this guy who a boa constrictor had just came up through his toilet and like went through the house, and they show you him next to his toilet like, I was sitting here, I heard a noise, I stood up, I knew it came. And like for like 2 years I was terrified to take a shite.
Oh yeah.
I was like on there because I was like, I'm gonna get eaten, I'm gonna get a snake up my ass if I didn't get away from, man. Like,
my sister, she used to play trumpet in one of the Dundee bands here, and Mum and Dad would always have put Discovery Channel on sometimes during the day, and it would be the veterinarian. There was this one guy used to have these unusual pets coming in. He would help them get well and that. And she'd obviously watched this, and then she went to our band that night, and the guy had a snake, and it was a big boa constrictor thing. And And he's like, yeah, it's no ate for ages.
Mm.
Like, I've put mice or whatever it is he's feeding it. He said, I've tried different things. It's just no eating it. He says, it's just, I don't know what's wrong. I wonder if it's just sick and it's dying. I'm probably going to have to take it to the vet. And my sister went, oh, I saw a program on that just the other night. It's preparing to eat you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, that's why it's not eating. It's like looking, going, I'm going to have to wait a while. I'm going to be hungry to eat you. And he ended up, he's like, no. And he's like, well, let's go to the vet. She took it to the vet, or he took it to the vet. And the vet went, yeah, that's right.
Is it true, though? Like, because did that happen to him? And he was like, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That's great, because I always thought those sort of stories were bullshit. I thought it sounds like something someone would just make up and just be like,
well,
I once did that and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, my sister told me that's what she was telling the guy. And he had to had it put down.
How'd you put down a snake, man?
Well,
try and go out with its tail. Like,
I'm not sure how to do it, but the vet's like, yeah, you have to put it down because that's it. It's turned the corner, and
went mental.
It's went mental, basically. Yeah.
Mad
so
bastard snake, man.
I found out from doing a bit of hosting.
I
met a veterinarian, and when I was hosting, and people are always like, "Oh, veterinarians must be amazing. They're helping animals and all that stuff." And so I asked them, I was like, "So how many animals have you put down?" I could see the whole audience just shift, like, yeah, that's right, you do put down animals, like, you know.
yeah.
And he's like, well, you know, not that many this month, you know, like. And he was a good sport. He was from Australia. And I said to him, what's the most unusual animal you've put down? And he was like, probably just like a hamster.
Aye.
And I was like, oh, okay. I says, I thought you just flushed them down the toilet. So and he's like, no, we gassed them.
They gassed
them? They gassed them.
Jesus,
and it just took that. I was like, oh, wait a minute, we got to get into this. And that's basically what they do. They put them in this. They have a little, it's like a microwave. They put them in, they put it on, and they just...
I mean, my mum was always like, because we had a dog, Zach, like I was saying, it was like, we took him to the vets. Oh, Zach always hates the vets. Like, that's a surprise. I'm like, yeah, all his friends died here. Like, of course he hates the fucking vets. Like, just unreal, man. Have you got pets other than the chickens and ducks? Yeah,
chickens and ducks, and I've got a dog.
You got a dog as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
His name's Fargo.
Fargo the dog.
Yeah.
Very good.
He's a big, massive, it's like 32 inches at the shoulder.
What?
Yeah, he's massive. And he's probably like 55 kilos.
Jeez, man.
He's a newfie poo.
No one must mess with you, man.
No,
like out on your garden with your 9 chickens, your killing cone, your big fuck off guard dog. Like,
I tell you, those ducks, they will alert you to anybody coming in the gate.
Oh, really?
They just quack, quack, quack.
Yeah.
Like,
that must be a nightmare when you try to get asleep the way.
Well, they generally at night they go quiet. It's only if somebody comes through the gate of the garden, but generally nobody's really doing it unless they shouldn't be there late at night. But generally at night they all go quiet because they're thinking, well, predators are out, so they go quiet. Because I've had them where a couple of hens, they disappeared into the garden, like into the bushes, and I was like, I'm sure we've got 6 hens, but there's only 4. Where are the other 2? You go searching around the garden, sometimes you find them, sometimes you don't. And I'm like, oh, great. I wonder if I have had, I suspect I did have one, a bird of prey must have came along and spotted them and snatched one. But then I found them wandering around the garden in the morning time. And basically they just hunker down and just go quiet, and they won't. So even if you're making noises, they freeze, they don't move. So and sometimes they blend in with like they just sort of hide. So yeah, I got a dog and a load of hens and ducks, but nothing else.
Mental, man. Love it.
Yeah, no, I love having a dog. Dogs are...
I do miss having a dog, but we're out of the house like so much that it's like it wouldn't be fair on the dog if like, if we did get one.
Yeah.
You play any instruments, by the way? Like, you're a musical man? Because very technically savvy, clearly.
No, I played guitar as a teenager, like most teenagers and stuff. My dad all played guitar, and he had a band in the 70s and all that type of thing. But I played a bit of guitar, but never really took much more than just playing it a wee bit for fun.
I'm getting back into the band thing, so I'm like well interested.
What do you play?
I play guitar and bass, so I'm playing bass for this band.
Okay.
But like bass is just so fun, like because I used to be in like a sort of pop rock band, and then I played bass for a metal band, like with me and my mates.
Right.
Just writing all our own songs and that. And you used to do the gigs at like the local like youth centre and all that.
Yeah.
And always like at the mic, Joe singing. You always have all the girls like, woo,
Yeah.
and then to the side, to the right, Stuart on the guitar. All the girls are like, yeah, Stuart. And then in front of me on the left is just all the other hairy male basses, like great licks. Like, I was like, but then it was my mate Joe always laughs at it. It's like I've constantly sweaty hands. Like, fucking, like it's really bad. And like, so obviously if I'm like playing the bass or like that's furthered. Like I wish we got it in film. Like everyone was screaming like bass solo, and I did a bass solo and I cheered. I was like, yeah, and like this tidal wave just like hit the front row, and all these kids are like I was like, Jesus, man, so bad.
I've never played bass. I know a couple of notes at best. But when I was 16 years old, my uncle, he had a little band. It was a Ceilidh band.
Aye.
And he done gigs all over the place. And I guess they were doing some gig in Glasgow. And they had said to him, you have to have a 5-piece band.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a 5-piece band, even if there's 4 of you, you don't get paid as a 5-piece band. She was like, the woman that ran it was really strict.
Wow.
And so she would only pay them. So if you show up with less than 5, you get paid for like 3. That was the way she ran it. So you have
bizarre.
3 or 5.
Yeah,
it was just this
it's
weird thing.
Because you're still providing the same
Yeah,
music.
exactly.
Anyway, like,
so she wasn't... Now, my uncle played the keyboards. They had a drummer and they had the accordion player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you the truth, I'm not too sure who else should be in the Ceilidh band unless there's a
Yeah.
bagpiper or something.
Exactly,
but anyway, my uncle phoned me up. He's like, Jason, I need you to come play bass for my band. And I went, I don't play bass. He's like, don't worry about that. And so I get in the car, I go all the way through this gig, and he says they've got this elaborate story. You are Peter.
Mm-hmm.
You're not Jason Clancy. You're not even related to me. You're Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And you're here. You go to the Perth Rock College.
Aye.
You used to be one of my students, and you're here to play bass. And I was like, right, okay. So they hooked me up with the bass, and they plugged me in and basically just turned the the thing down. And I just mimic playing the bass, and my uncle was doing the bass notes and stuff on his second keyboard.
Yeah,
playing the bass. So it looked
that's
just
hilarious.
everything sounded
Anyone
like
come
it.
up to you and be like, your bass lines are brilliant, by the way.
Honestly, you couldn't have wrote this. They decided not to tell the drummer as a joke. So I'm playing next to him, and after the first half of playing, even though I'm not playing any correct notes, I'm absolutely lashing
no one can
with
hear
sweat because I'm still having to actually play whether it's the right note or not.
Yeah.
And the drummer comes off and he says to my uncle, I tell you, he's some bass player. And my uncle and that are looking at him. He's like, he's never played with us, but he's tight. He's tight. He knows all the changes, you know. and so they're all laughing, obviously. And I'm not even old enough to drink.
Yeah.
Not that I drink anyway. But I'm sitting there, and the woman that runs the place, after we had done the thing, she had said, "Yeah, he'll do." Because initially she was like, "Well, we may not be able to pay, because you got the 5-piece band and whatever it is." Yeah. And
you did such a stellar job.
She was happy, and the guitarist was like, "Oh yeah, everything's good." And so we had this 5-piece band we're doing, and my uncle and that are playing, and it was for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I guess it was a really good gig, and my uncle didn't want to lose it because they were playing it like twice a month or whatever it was. And so on the Saturday night, I remember going back through again, and they're now telling me, they're like, okay, now we noticed by the end of Friday night you were clearly too confident in what you were doing, because suddenly I'm like,
you're just getting right
like
into
all over this,
licks,
yeah. And they're like, no, the bass player doesn't even play like that. You just play
just
up,
hit the root notes,
man,
like,
and I'm right, fair enough. And so I'm up there, and here in walks another Ceilidh band who have been trying to get into this club, and they've had like a couple of gigs here and there, but my uncle's band was kind of the one that was not holding them from it, but they had the gig. They had the gig. And they came in, and my uncle's just like, oh no. He says, if they see Jason playing the bass, they'll know right away they're going to go,
yeah,
he's not playing the bass, he doesn't know what he's doing, what's going on here? And they could easily tell her, and then maybe try and get the gig. So we play the whole night, and the whole time they've told me to step to the side and try and play behind my uncle or the accordion. Try and stay out of sight almost. So I'm trying to hide behind people now, playing the bass. And at the end of the gig, they come up to my uncle to speak to him. They're yapping away, and their bass player comes up to me and he says, "How old are you?" I says, "I'm 16. Amazing, mate. Absolutely amazing." And he just walks away, and I'm like,
oh. If anyone needs a bass stuntman, you're the guy. Like,
I'm the guy.
I mean, you're clearly very talented.
I can
doing
fake the
fuck
bass.
all.
Yeah, exactly.
Fake it till you bass it. Like,
yeah, exactly. But that I've never. I mean, my uncle never got me to do it again. But I've never.
That is phenomenal, though.
Yeah,
like, really
I
good. The
couldn't
fact that
believe
everyone bought it on every end as well.
The
like so
crowd.
good,
I mean, I guess.
They're dancing.
They're
so
dancing.
They're not
noticing
looking at
it.
you. Yeah,
and I've went and seen bands play before, and to tell you the truth, maybe the guitarist, I could look and say, "Oh yeah, he's playing an E, G, whatever."
Aye.
But the bass player could be doing anything he wants.
Maybe
I have
you're
no
the
idea.
only guy who can look at bassists and go, "He's not really playing that."
Yeah, I know a fake.
Yeah. Oh, mental, man. That's insane. Like.
The show, you
Yes.
said you're doing a promo video.
Yeah, so I don't want to reveal too much about it now, but I'm going to my
Okay.
mate to do a wee promo video, which is going to be like a news announcement
Okay.
about why you need to come see my show. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I'll spoil. It's just a wee thing, like, because
Okay.
I was talking, so I'm doing it at Mango
Right.
on Sucky Hall Street in Glasgow. I'm really lucky to be working with Fergus Mitchell. I don't know if you've encountered
never
him.
met
So
Fergus,
He
yeah.
runs Cross My Laugh.
Okay, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's doing Just Below Comedy.
Right.
He might have a team, but I only know of Fergus. So
Sure.
apologies to anyone. I'm
Yeah.
putting out that. But yeah, he very kindly put me in like this like 35-seater room, which I think is a nice small sort of crowd to like kind of keep to do a first show. And we were just talking about, like we were saying earlier, about how it's all about the online content.
Yeah.
And you know yourself, like the Glasgow Comedy Fest show, it's not a fringe, it's a one-off show.
Yeah.
So flying's kind of ineffective, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's not really point. Posters, I mean, you put a poster up, but you know.
Sure.
But a lot of it just comes from generating interest up until the day of the event.
Yeah.
Best way to do that's with a video. Just get it shared. I thought, well, if I can make it a wee bit funnier, put a wee bit of a theme behind it. So that's what we're going to do. Aye, I'm excited to get it out.
Content is king.
Aye, it's all just coming together nicely where, like, by the time that I finally have a fucking Facebook page, I'm so behind, like, a Facebook page, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, everyone's on Instagram and Twitter, and in 2020, I'm like, time to get on the book.
Yeah.
Like, it's just silly.
Better get on MySpace.
Oh, yeah, Bebo the hell out of it is the way to do it. But it'll be good fun. Like I was saying, I love just doing daft wee skits like that. Like, it's good.
That sounds really cool. That sounds really good.
Aye.
And are you going to take this show that you're doing at the Glasgow Comedy Festival, are you going to try and take that to the Edinburgh Fringe, or are you going to try and do something new?
Yeah, no, I would want to take a enhanced version of this to the Fringe. So the hour will consist of some old stuff and a lot of new stuff. And I would like to, ideally, by the time I get to the Fringe, just have an hour that's maybe entirely separate from anything I do in clubs.
Right.
But the thing with the Fringe is, like, I love it. Like, I've adored it every time I've had the pleasure of doing it. But I've also got super lucky with venues. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been put in good places.
That's good.
And I feel like you have to have that. You have to have a venue that people can find you at.
Yeah.
That's good for flying. And you need to have a time that's not ludicrous. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because if you apply for the big companies that do it, they have a lot of good rooms and a lot of good spaces, but they need to fill every single venue at every time. So you could end up in the middle of fucking nowhere at 3 p.m. or in a really good venue at 2 a.m, and you maybe do some alternative performance that a drunkard's going to like. So I fear that in a way, because I know I've got good friends who are far more talented than me as comics, who've had bad Fringe runs, nothing to do with themselves or their performance, but because they just could not get the audiences in,
right?
You know, so long-winded ways. Yes, I'd love to do it. I'd like to find a room that I enjoy
that suits you,
and I'd maybe not do the month. I'd maybe do like 2 weeks because life.
Exactly.
Again, I've been very lucky that in 2018-17 I was able to do the whole month,
right?
Just the way it worked out. But I think if I was doing it this year, it would be thing. But that's the aim anyway, you know. Just get out and do it. Because it's just so fun, man. Like, it's so fun just bumping into everyone, and like your venue becomes your wee home a lot of the time.
Yeah,
I did it via the Scottish Comedy Festival the last 2 times I've done it. So
right,
like the Beehive.
Yeah.
Working
with Rick.
Belter, Rick. And
he's
Sully,
fantastic.
Like, they're amazing. Like really, really good guys. And again, 2 people who've been very good to me, like pretty much from the get go.
Well, hey, thanks for coming.
Oh man, thanks for having me. Fucking brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Good luck with the whole thing, man.
Yeah,
This is
definitely.
a beautiful setup.
We appreciate you coming in, and hope you do well with your show. Let's just plug it one more time.
So it is Counting on It by Declan Mcguigan. It's on the 20th of March at 6:30 p.m. at Mango. Come get some tickets and come see it happen.
Yeah, they're almost sold out. So
yeah, we're getting there.
Getting there.
It was good. I done a gig last night to loads of folk, and they've all bought some tickets. So like that's nice to know that like the room's going to be hopefully full. Like so, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on the
Thanks for
Shoot
having
It Fat
me,
Boy podcast.
Yes.
And we'll have you back again after you've had your show.
Yeah, brilliant. I'll either be rich and famous or exactly where I am now. End of the game. Thanks, man. Cheers.
No
Appreciate
problem.
this.
Cheers. Bye. See you later, everybody.
Shoot it, fat boy!